Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for November for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you an overview of your circumstances, and then please stay with me. I'll then dive deep and give you a forensic detailed account of what you can expect. So as you come into this new month, so Mars has repositioned into the sign of Scorpio. Now Scorpio is a water sign, and the Sun is in Scorpio as well as we start this month. But remember, you're an earth sign, and earth is the basin of the river. So earth conducts water really well. So your relationship to the sign of Scorpio is very much about friendship, future activities, and networking. It's an exciting, potentially very sociable set of influences as you set out on this new month. But it is true that there is another stellar event, and it occurs on the 5th, when not only Mercury joins up with the Sun and Mars in that very sociable area, also Venus, the planet of love and relating, moves into your sign, and she's going to be there through to the 6th of March. Now Venus usually is just in each sign for around 28 days. So this extension is due to a retrograde which begins in your sign on the 19th of December. Venus is also going to be in a conjunction with Pluto in your sign for much of December within 3 degrees. So this points towards the potential for you to draw really special opportunities to you. Venus can be very magnetic. It's not just about relating, it is also about money, but it's your individuality that can see you do really well. And because you've got this clustering of energy building up from the 5th, when Mercury joins with the Sun and also Mars in your sector of friendship and sociability, you can see that it may be through some kind of gathering that you go to, getting together with others, and that could lead to some romantic opportunities if you're single. Now please stay with me for your more detailed forecast, but before I start that, if you are new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe, so please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, that's a written horoscope. I've been writing these for over 25 years. My work is used around the globe and by the Press Association of Great Britain, and also the Metro, Britain's most read daily newspaper. So why not get yours too? Also, with year 2022 racing up, you can order your personal forecast for next year and ascend above this Zodiac forecast. And if you buy it now, I'll give you the rest of this year free, plus a character analysis and 30% off. And all of this is based on your personal birth data and will give you searing insights of what you can expect. Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for November. So the key issues this month are the arrival of Venus in your sign on the 5th, Mercury emerging from shadow on the 3rd in your sector of career, and I think you've been working very hard in that area of your situation, and now you can start to see the evidence of things developing. There may be some new connections and associations developing from the 5th as Mercury arrives in your 11th house. The Sun and also Mars, exalted in your sign, are in your sector of the long-term future and of your higher beliefs and ideals. So a little bit of idealism is making its way around your situation. Mars, of course, is very much about the self, the ego, and our desire, and it can be quite robust and it creates dramas sometimes. But in the 11th house, it's pretty good because that enables us to balance our individual needs with the needs of others. So it's not quite as grabbing, Mars in the 11th house. So that's really good. So, and then we've got the polar opposites that are operating this month. So firstly the Sun, then Mercury, then Mars, all in opposition with Uranus in your 5th house. The 5th house is where we manifest our individual talents. It's where our hopes around love, creativity, flair, just enjoyment, socializing with people. The 11th house is more about the collective. So the challenge this month is to balance how you interact with people on a wider basis and how you get what you need for yourself. But Uranus is the ultimate shock jock, the planet that can be quite confrontational. It's very much about authenticity and truth. And in the sign of Taurus, it is pushing us to take any issue to do with ecology or the environment much more seriously, because the sign of Taurus is very much about consumption, and Uranus is about thinking outside the box. It's about innovation as well. So the electric energy of Uranus has been pushing you over the last couple of years to be a bit more daring around your love and social lives, and the position of the Sun, Mercury and Mars is more about how you interact with others. So finding the sweet spot between the two is really going to be the trick of this month. But let's go right back to the first day, because the Sun is into a right angle with your ruling planet of Saturn. This runs over from the last week of October, and it's possible that there is a friend or someone that you're involved with who doesn't have the same values as you, but can be quite censorious about your values. So, for example, if you are really quite an activist about any strand that really grabs your imagination, you may encounter someone who's much more of a reactionary. They want it to stay as it always has done. And that can lead to a chaffing point between your direction of travel for the future and their viewpoint, or perhaps your idealism will be challenged by your own financial reality. But just to reassure you, your finances broadly should improve this month, because Saturn, your ruler, and Jupiter are now moving forwards in your second solar house. So that's something to really be pleased about. But the first week of this month does see the Sun in that direct opposition, that electric energy to Uranus. And on the 4th we have a new moon. Now, of course, new moons is an opportunity to set our intentions around the area that the moon is operating in. So Scorpio energy is about diving deep. So it's about the meaning of things. It's not necessarily the superficial appearance. And the 11th house for you is your idealism, your friendships, your networks, but those future hopes. So in order to tap into those in a successful way, you may need to analyze things, which is very scorpionic. And perhaps the big trend of this month in some ways is that you're looking for a deeper sincerity, whether it's in your love life or it's in your friendships. And that becomes even more of a pressing issue from when the Sun moves into your 12th house on the 22nd, to be followed by Mercury. So as you end the month, the last 10 days actually may see you rejecting some social opportunities and just trying to download and process all the excitement that the first 2/3 of this month is almost certainly going to generate. So the new moon is exciting in a way if you're somebody who does have a kind of passion for trying to understand the deeper machinations of life. And friends that are or intend to run on the more thoughtful side probably will call out to you more. Also, friends, even if they're just happy-go-lucky, but tend to be very genuine, you know where you stand with them. I think people like that who have a kind of unvarnished facade are also going to really appeal to you, because Uranus likes to strip that facade off, and get to what's really the real genuine side of a person's nature. But the 11th house competing with the 5th house can have ramifications for your love life. So if you're in a relationship which is essentially a friendship, because of that 11th house Sun joined by Mercury on the 5th and Mars already in that area, you may start to get a little bit doubtful of whether this can serve your longer term needs. Now, maybe you don't have any issues with the other person in terms of how they are towards you. It just doesn't have that sense of excitement and charisma that we all need to really sustain a relationship to its maximum potential longer term. So if it's become very set in its ways, this is a month where you're given a great opportunity to try to change things up. But you may resist that because your nature is essentially towards security and knowing where you stand, and having a sense of physical comfort and the sense that your bills are paid and all the rest of it. If you're collaborating in a relationship, you may not want to look at why it might not actually be really, really giving you a sense of fulfillment and excitement. But that's what you're being pushed to consider. But then in week 2 of this month, Mars in your 11th house tangles with Saturn. So this is almost like an echo of that Sun-Saturn square on the first day. But of course, Mars is a very impatient energy. And if you're trying to work towards a longer term goal and there's a financial impediment, or there's some kind of obstacle that's stopping you moving forwards, you really could feel frustrated in week 2. But ironically, and this often happens in astrology, you get another aspect going on which is actually really very helpful. And the role of the astrologer is to understand which is the most dominant aspect, and that's called weighting, and that's WEIGTING, so weight. So the Sun's angle to Pluto in your sign is fantastic. So if you really have got a vision of where your life is going and you're really excited by it, this month can see you come in on leaps and bounds, because it's possible that you've already set the energy in play to actually achieve that longer term reality. And this is just something that's going to speed things up. But if you're someone who tends to be more comfortable with what you know, this could be quite a challenging month, I feel, because it could push you to confront some areas where you just don't feel that sense of being alive. It's such a short life. It really, really is. We have to seize the moment. So I would say that, there's food for thought in week 2 for sure. But then on the 18th, Venus, which has joined your sign on the 5th, wonderful. It's going to really bring so much attention to you through to the 6th of March. It's also going to see you give yourself some kind of big makeover. Even if you're someone who's very much into your personal presentation, you might be surprised by how you reconfigure something. Even if you've had a particular way of doing it for a long time, a desire to be a little bit more devil-may-care may seize you, and that can be really exciting. So Venus moving into your sign is so lovely, but it does go into retrograde on the 18th, and that just says to you, especially if you're single, if you do get more than one person beating the path to your door, don't be too quick to dive into the situation, because Venus is asking you to think very carefully about what you want from love. But the first house is about it's about you. It's not so much about relating to the other person. And of course, as you know, you've also got Uranus in your 5th house, which is very much about what you really want. And Uranus is pushing you to get the real deal, the authenticity. And then the Sun and Mercury, which goes face to face with Uranus from the 11th through to the 14th, can create quite a lot of electric energy around conversations. If you are someone who sees yourself as an activist in whatever way, you could find yourself having quite a standoff, whether it is about COVID, whether it's about currencies that are used, whether it's about international trade, whether it's about Brexit, whatever issue engages you, you could have quite a passionate debate across those days. But Venus going into retrograde is just reminding you about the need for sincerity. And then on the 19th, the full moon in your sister Earth sign of Taurus is your 5th house. So this is a really lovely full moon, I feel. And it also links in brilliantly with Pluto in your sign. It does square with Jupiter, but I think you're actually going to enjoy splashing out, having a bit of a splurge, maybe even having a party. But the thing is, as soon as you set up something sociable around that full moon, within a couple of days, you may actually be rethinking it. And there's the possibility that you will cancel or only want to be with people who really, really get you at a deeper level. And that's because the Sun and then on the 24th Mercury arrive in Sagittarius, and this is your part of the year where you just draw in a little bit and think things through. But you still got Mars in a very sociable area, you've still got Venus in a very alluring area to draw attraction to you. But I think the Sun and Mercury are asking you to check out motives, your motives, other people's. Any planning that you're doing behind the scenes, taking soundings, analysing things, step-by-step research, doing your due diligence, that can be brilliant from the 28th to the 30th with Mercury in a fine link to your ruler Saturn. Your ability to methodically go through things is great. But I'll just tell you about that Mars opposition with Uranus, because that happens in week 3. And if you are single, don't be surprised if a surprise date just comes out of absolutely nowhere. You might have to make a snap decision, and you might have an enormous attraction for the person who asks you out. Whether you're sure about them at a deeper level is completely another thing. But if you're someone who is quite gregarious and you quite like a lot of playfulness, flirtiness, you like the whole sort of thrill of the chase, this is an aspect right up your street. And of course, we've all been denied so much social interaction. You may be craving this kind of stuff anyway, even if you do run a little more on the more conservative with a small c side. So expect some dramas to occur in week 3, but then whoosh, quite quickly, I think you batten down the hatches and become much more reflective, much more sensitive, and you're thinking much more about where people are coming from. But there are opportunities this month to be, spontaneous, playful, fun-loving, provocative, saucy, even all the way to a physical embrace. All those things can happen, but I think equally you are being confronted with the side of your nature that likes to stay as it is by so much energy in the heavens, which is pushing you to update your game in quite a massive and radical way. If you're a progressive person, you will sail through this month. If you're a resistant person, it could be more challenging. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye.